All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Velero community meeting. It's May 7th, 2019. Happy to be here and talk through a few things that we have on the agenda. Just a reminder, we are recording this meeting and it will be posted publicly on YouTube after the conclusion of the meeting. So just keep that in mind as you're speaking or asking any questions. I will go ahead and share the agenda. All right, so we have a relatively short agenda today, so I'm guessing we won't use the whole hour. Folks can get a few minutes back for their day. So the first thing we wanted to talk about is what we've been working on, and the big ticket item that we have to cover is that our first beta has been released. So I'm going to hand it off to Nolan to talk a little bit about the beta for V1.
Yeah, so this first beta is actually fairly small over the alpha the alpha 2 that we had previously. We added some new phases for backups and restores so that hopefully that's a little bit clearer for users. We sped up some rustic operations. We found some issues with the install command as people were using them, so we fixed those up, including disallowing certain characters and bucket names and making sure we get the right images downloaded if you don't specify a tag. We've got some user contributions for making sure our labels and everything are correct, as otherwise Kubernetes was rejecting objects on restore. We had an old PR for making sure we don't overwrite an existing backup in object storage. So we've now got that merged. And then we've got a couple changes to project and zone information on GCP and Azure. So in GCP, we're now allowing disks to be restored from a separate project, as long as the IAM account has access to it. Azure, we have more accurate disk information for doing restores. And then finally, as part of the install command, we've removed the configs directory inside the release tarball, and that's just examples. So if you go look at master and the beta branch on GitHub, you will no longer see the YAML for installing on various providers. That can all now be generated on the fly with the install command. As part of this change, or as part of moving towards 1.0, we're taking most of Velero out of pre-release status, but rustic integration is still going to be beta. There's performance issues that we would like to kind of nail down, and we're planning on tackling those soon after 1.0 is officially launched. And also, we're getting some fixes in on the Helm chart before 1.0. Carlisi and Steve, did you have anything you wanted to add to any of those items?
Yeah, just a little bit of context on the rustic integration. So we initially launched the rustic integration in, I believe, in 0.9. And so it's only been out for a couple of releases, and we've had lots of folks using it, and a lot of folks having success with it, and then some folks reporting some issues and areas of friction. And so we definitely want to continue to invest in that and spend some time just ironing out any of the issues that remain. But just given the short amount of time that integration has existed relative to the rest of the code base, we weren't quite comfortable calling it GA as of 1.0. It is, for folks who have used it, it is kind of a standalone feature, or a feature that you don't have to use if you don't want to. And so we're comfortable shipping it with 1.0, but just giving it that beta label until we have another release or two to spend focusing on stabilizing it. All right. Does anyone have any questions on the V1 beta or anything else related to V1 before we move on a little bit? All right, great. So we'll talk a little bit about what's coming up. And obviously, we've been talking about this for the past several meetings. So the main thing we're pushing towards is that V1 GA release. We're targeting to push the release out on May 21st. So that's just, I believe, exactly 2 weeks away from today. So we're pretty excited about that. Now that the beta's out, we've basically completed all of the features that we plan to include in V1. We're feature complete, and so between now and the release date, we're just going to be focusing on fixing any bugs that come in from users who are testing, making some improvements to the docs if we notice anything, and just doing a little bit of polish, but we really don't plan to ship any more significant features between now and then. And then, obviously, once we ship 1.0, we're not done with the project. We're going to start looking at 1.1, 1.2, and obviously starting to think towards a 2.0. And so we will start picking up post 1.0 planning shortly after that V1 release. We certainly have a bunch of items that are in the backlog already, feature requests that have been submitted by users and ideas that we've had within the team. But just to mention a couple of the things, the top level items that we're thinking about for post 1.0. The first one is thinking about how we want to integrate with CSI. And so for those of you who aren't familiar, CSI is the container storage interface. This is kind of the new mechanism by which storage providers should be integrating with Kubernetes or potentially with other container orchestrators as well. And as part of that interface, there's a snapshot API, which is currently in an alpha phase. And so the idea is that there would essentially be a Kubernetes style API for creating snapshots of persistent volumes that you're using, and then also support for being able to create new persistent volumes from existing snapshots. And so this obviously has some overlap with the current functionality of Velero. And we really want to take a look at this and see how we can actually integrate with that snapshot capability, so that for providers, any storage providers who have implemented the CSI interface and have implemented those snapshot methods, they can automatically get Velero support. So they would be able to plug right into Velero, and users would be able to use Velero to back up, take snapshots of their volumes in those providers, as well as get all the other functionality that Velero provides. So we've started talking about this and looking at the state of the upstream work and starting to do a little bit of POC work, but we certainly have a lot more investigation and planning and design to do here. So this is a big item that we'll be picking up after 1.0. We just talked about the rustic integration, so this is definitely another area that we want to focus on and make sure that we're comfortable calling that integration GA. And so we anticipate spending one or maybe a couple of releases working on doing some stabilization there. And then beyond that, there are, as I said, a number of different issues that are in the backlog, and we're continuing to think about where we want Velero to go as we look ahead to 2.0 and beyond. And so we're at this point definitely open to ideas from the community, from users. So if there are any particular areas where you'd like to see more development, if there are any particular features that you think are missing, please just reach out to us on Slack, through GitHub, in this meeting, however you want to reach out. But we're definitely interested in hearing your feedback. Does anybody else have any questions or comments on that? All right. Well, so we can just move on and cover again a little bit about how you can get involved with the project if you're looking to get involved and haven't yet. Tom, would you mind covering this first bullet with our GitHub issue about how you use Velero?
Yeah, absolutely. We would love to get feedback on how you're using Velero. We have an issue opened up for that. It's 1327. The link is here in the notes. We'd love for you to lay a comment on that issue and let us know how you're using Velero and how it's making your life better. That would be fantastic. And like Steve said, we're going to start doing V1.1 planning. So really interested in what you would like to see, what you'd like to see us working on next. Leave those comments for us as well.
Great, thanks. And then, yeah, as I just mentioned, come join us in Slack. We're in the Kubernetes Slack organization under the Velero channel. So come join us. If you aren't necessarily ready to make a code contribution, but you've been using Velero, it's really helpful to us if we have folks in there who can help answer other users' questions. So we'd love to see you in there. And then, yeah, let us know what features you're interested in seeing going forward. And then finally, I just wanted to cover some shout outs for some contributors. We've had a couple of contributions since the last meeting that we had. And so the first one here is from Sil R, who contributed support to basically for Velero to be able to support availability zone based disks for Azure. So this is a relatively new capability for Azure to have disks be within a specific availability zone. And with this PR, Velero now has the ability to properly back up and restore these. So that's definitely a great addition for Azure users who are looking to use this new feature. So thank you, Sil R. And then Fabito, who's a repeat contributor, added, I believe, his third PR to add some validation to the Velero backup download command. We were missing some validation on the input parameters there, and so he added validation to make this a little bit more user-friendly. So thanks a lot for that PR. We appreciate it and look forward to more contributions. So that pretty much covers what we wanted to talk about in this meeting. If anyone has any questions at this point, feel free to chime in.
I would say if you get a chance, even if you have like a cluster running on the side, it'd be super helpful if you tried out the beta. And even if you've got questions on our docs or anything like that, please let us know. File issues, ask us in Slack so we can get those updated or any bugs fixed.
Yeah, and if you ran the beta or the alpha even and you found no issues, let us know too.
Absolutely. All right, well, it sounds like we can wrap up. So short and sweet meeting this week. Thanks everyone for joining, and thanks everyone who tunes in later. And we'll catch you in a couple of weeks for our next meeting. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Bye.
See you, folks.